Hey guys, so I want to talk about this 2 year, 10-year graph. Okay, so you're gonna hear a lot of doomsayers saying like the economy is going to poo poo. Then you're gonna have those in the camp that we're gonna have this euphoric rise, and you're like getting all these mixed signals about housing and this and that. Like sometimes it gets so overwhelming. I get like especially on YouTube and Twitter, you just get so confused at like all the signals and everything, and you're like, what am I supposed to trust? Who am I supposed to trust about all this stuff? Like this is just overwhelming. Like I sometimes feel like I'm just getting stressed out, right? So with that being said, whenever like I have to like center myself back up, I just look at this chart, right? This chart kind of like tells you everything you need to know, right? So whenever you're like really confused, right? Just always look at this chart, okay? And know how to position yourself with this, okay? This chart pretty much tells you what is going to happen, okay? So like with that being said, some of the data in this chart can be a little bit skewed. So we'll have to like play it by ear with the data, but I just want to give you high level. Okay? And these gray bars get manipulated as well over time, right? So like look at this inversion right here, right? This went from 78. So just to give you what an inversion is, whenever it goes below 0, the 2-year and the 10-year get inverted. Okay, what does that mean? That means there's a higher rate of return, okay, on the 2-year versus the 10-year, okay? And when that happens, there's a higher rate of return. The yields are higher on the 2-year versus the 10-year, okay? When this happens, that means we're entering, it's like an early warning signal that we're about to have an impending collapse or recession, okay? So like look at the 78, right? So this thing was inverted from like August 78, okay, to like to April of 80. So that's like almost 3 years and some months. 2 years and some months. Almost 3 years, right? That was the longest inversion other than the Great Depression, except for now, right? Like look at this one. And this one was like, oh man, this thing is, so I think it just came down, poop. And then it was like 80 and then 81. So this one's not that bad. But you like what you do is like you always like whenever you're trying to figure out like how to navigate the business cycle and the economic cycles and everything, just look at this. And it'll tell you like how to prepare. It saved me a lot of money by looking at this. So whenever I see this, right, like whenever I see it's going negative, like right here, right, then you're like, okay, look, I gotta start preparing. I don't know how much time I have, but I definitely have to prepare because there's gonna be a recession, and if I don't have the cash, it's gonna really be quite miserable. So only whenever it gets positive, after a couple months after it gets positive, then you have like a big boom, right? Like in the early 90s, you had one in the 80s, 82, then you had the .com bubble right here, then you had the housing situation right here. See how it went negative in 06, and then they called the recession in 08. Okay, so similar situation right here. It went negative in a very small period of time, right, in August, and then 6 or 7 months later, after it came back positive, you had that big lockdown thing, right, and then now it's gone negative. Like, I mean, this thing is really negative. And whenever it goes negative for this long, that means the severity, you see how like it's so tiny right here, this little dot, and then it caused such a tiny one. But here it was -1 and then 2. And then if you had just sold, right, like let's say you just sold at the peak of December of 2006, and you just sat there for like 2 years and you didn't do crap, economic collapse happened, right? And you just sold what you do is you typically buy at the peak of this thing, right? Like you see right here in 2010, if you had bought right there, you would have been living good. Okay, same here. You would have been really good. And then I remember my parents buying stuff here and here. Man, I just like it just hit me right now how to make more money. So whenever this goes like when you see this curve go above 2%, you start buying assets. You just have to wait till that it goes 2. All right. So if had you just waited for 2 and you kept on buying as long as it was 2%, man, you were living good. I remember 2011, a lot of people made a lot of money buying assets and then just holding it. And then you just play this curve year after year. Especially in real estate, if you do this, you're going to be good. So when the spread becomes 2, you need to go all in. If it's not 2, then you got to like hem-haw about it all. But when it's 2, I would go all in. It didn't hit 2 right here. Now those people might get like they're having buyer's remorse, right? So this is something to keep an eye out on. I like that thought process. It just hit me right now. So right now we're negative. So once this goes positive, like if you haven't positioned your balance sheet with liquid assets and you're still holding a crap ton of debt, man, you're going to be wiped out. Like you're going to be really wiped out. It's going to be really ugly for you. You might not, and especially if you're like 60 and you have assets, you're so screwed. Like you have no idea how screwed you are. Like, so you need to prepare, right? So whenever this goes and you see this thing go up, you buy assets. Yeah, like you're gonna be good. Yeah, this is all that I had about the inversion. So, like, if you're thinking about buying a home, I just realized like you just have to wait till this hits 2%, then buy a home. Only buy homes whenever it gets above 2%. Man, okay. So like as long as it's below, like you can't lose if you're. What I noticed, like with my parents, like they never lost whenever it was above 2%, and we held properties for like 30 years. So like if you hold, like we were buying here, right? We bought a lot here. That's like our big breadwinner was in this area right here. I didn't even think about it that way. And then we bought properties here, and we did well with all those assets. And then we bought some here, and we did okay, but it was a struggle. But those that were here and here, they were cash cows. And our balance sheet, what we did, we kept. Then we bought something here, and we bought right here, and it just killed us. Never buy when this thing is below. It is a suicide mission. And we just waited 5 more years and bought here, we would be so much more financially well off right now. So just keep an eye on this. This is a very good like way of predicting when to buy and what to sell. You can't nail the top all the time. If you get close to the top, that's the biggest thing. Close to the bottom, that's the biggest thing. And you need leading indicators to help you figure out when the bottom and when the top are coming. And then you need like 6-7 months to liquidate, change over your assets into the right asset classes. So this way of like going back and forth between the asset classes with this 2 to 0 negative positioning is a great way of figuring out what you need to do. Personally, I'm probably going to buy a house when it hits 2%. Okay, that's my thing about the inverted yield curve. Just be patient, keep a lot of cash right now, keep a lot of gold, silver, and if you want to buy like some XRP, then you can buy some. This is what I'm doing. It's not financial advice, but like it's just something I think has been a good way for me personally to do, and that's why I'm sharing this. Okay, I'll talk to you all later. Bye.